So you want to game, or maybe you want to stream. Maybe you want to create YouTube content like this. Maybe you want to edit photos, make music, do any of those things that require a lot of processing power, storage, RAM, but your computer or your laptop is 3, 4, 5 years old and it just can't handle it. Well, as the title suggested, this one weird trick can fix it all. Yeah, I know. It was clickbait. But it worked, and you're going to be happy it did. Hey everyone, I'm Brea Thorne. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for clicking on my video. I do want to make abundantly clear that this is not paid promotion. Okay? You're not going to see a little, wait, nope, right there, includes paid promotion thing pop up. It's not going to happen. This is the one thing that saved my stream. Looking back and say, I don't know, July, August of this past year, I was having a lot of trouble because the computer that I just recently replaced was having to run games and run OBS. I was struggling to play GTA or etc. and stream at 720, 30 FPS. Yeah. It's a lot of work for one system to handle, which is why you see a lot of streamers that are able to throw that kind of money around running on a 2 PC setup. They've got one gaming PC running the game being captured by their streaming PC. So each separate system can handle its own thing, no problem. Say you can't afford a dual PC setup and you just want to upgrade the one you have right now. Well, guess what? As the last 2 videos I put up covered, it's kind of impossible to purchase PC components for upgrading. Maybe you can't purchase a brand new system from a system integrator. I get that. It's not easy. So how can you bypass all of that nonsense? Well, let me tell you about Shadow. Now, what is Shadow? According to their website, Shadow is the first fully featured, cloud-based, high-end computer. It is the only remote service that offers performance capable of competing with a local PC, as of yet, anyway. You've got your cloud gaming services like Google Stadia, Sony has their own, Xbox has their own. But each of those services does not provide you with a full-on Windows computer. You can do anything you want with a Shadow Cloud PC. You could read emails with it, watch Netflix or YouTube or whatever, just like a normal PC. You can edit photos, edit videos. You can definitely game with it. And that is where Shadow shows its true strength. Taking a look at the packages that Shadow offers, the standard Shadow Boost package includes the equivalent of a GeForce GTX 1080, which is still a very competitive card. It's not the latest and greatest at all. It's back 2 generations, but it can run nearly anything at medium to high settings with no problems. The equivalent of a 3.4 gigahertz 4-core 8-thread processor, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage for game storage, and you can upgrade to up to 2 terabytes of storage, and full-on 64-bit Windows 10, just like you're used to using right now, unless you're not, which if you're using, say, Apple computer, you can actually still use Shadow and basically have a full-on Windows gaming PC on your Apple laptop or iMac, just like that. There are additional upgrades available, and they just became available in the US, at least Shadow Ultra did. And Shadow Ultra, which is what I personally use, includes a GeForce RTX 2080 equivalent with 16 gigs of VRAM and ray tracing capabilities, which I use constantly. You get a 4 gigahertz processor, 4 cores, 8 threads, and you get 16 gigs of RAM with 512 gigs of storage, which so far has been plenty for me. And you can still upgrade that to 2 terabytes. It has 64-bit Windows 10, of course. And then upcoming will be Shadow Infinite with the equivalent of a Titan RTX card, 4 gigahertz processor with 6 cores and 12 threads, and 32 gigs of RAM, plus a terabyte by default of storage. Plus, you can still add that additional terabyte of storage. There you go. All of these come with Windows 10 64-bit operating systems. A Shadow PC can run at up to 4K 60 FPS over the internet, and it uses ultra-low latency connections for all your USB peripherals to connect, so your controller is not going to have a lot of input lag. You won't even be able to tell. You could even run 1080 at 144 frames per second. I run my 1440 monitor at 144 frames per second through their Shadow Ultra. It's amazing how well it works. Is this available for everyone? Well, no, not necessarily. You need to go onto Shadow's website, shadow.tech, and you need to see if your location is covered, because the way that this works is they have server farms at certain places across the country and across the globe. And if you have one close enough to you where the latency will be fine, yes, you can get a full-on gaming PC. I'll get to the price. It's very, very good. It's ridiculous, actually. They recommend at least 15 megabit per second download speed for your streaming of this PC, because essentially you are streaming your connection. You're streaming your PC to you. It's over there in their server farm. Everything is there, but I can tell you right now, it feels like it's right in front of you. Like it's sitting next to you on your desk, a fire-breathing gaming PC right there. And this system can run on Windows, of course, Mac OS, okay, Android TV or Android devices, so you can use it on an Android smartphone, on a Chromebook, and you can use it on an Android TV-enabled device. And you can use it on iOS and tvOS. That means your Apple TV and your Apple iPhones and iPads. They've really covered a lot of bases here. And it starts at $11.99 a month. Yeah. A full-on gaming PC you can use almost anywhere for less than your Netflix costs you. You actually have a full-on computer in the cloud available anywhere you go. Just like that. For cheaper than the price of Netflix. I think that's worth it, especially considering the fact that you can't really buy the components to build a PC like this right now. It's impossible. Now, how can this help you do something like streaming? The way that I've used this is as a 2 PC setup with 1 PC. I have dual monitors, and on my gaming monitor, I run the Shadow PC, and on my secondary monitor, I run the stream, or anything else I want. My PC is freed up to where I can use things like NVIDIA Broadcast, Spotify, Streamlabs OBS, Discord, and it doesn't slow down my game, and it doesn't make me drop frames in my stream. It's fantastic. So to sort of show you how much this can save you in performance and affect your stream itself if you're streaming, or just your FPS in general, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the most difficult to run game right now, Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm going to do it while I am recording in OBS for this right now, while you're watching. Let's check it out. All right, so right now, we're just in our menu screen. I'm currently running Spotify in the background, just for me to hear. I'm running Streamlabs OBS, recording at 1080, 60 frames per second. And we're just in the menu screen, and right now we're already at 64% GPU usage. And this is a GeForce RTX 3070 we're talking about. Not the old RX 580 I used to use. That would have just imploded at this point. Okay, so let's see what settings I'm running when I'm just playing on my local computer just for me to play, not for streaming or anything. So I'm running with a custom preset, no preset really, with high texture quality and motion blur off because I don't like it very much. Depth of field is on. I turned off film grain and chromatic aberration, both kind of unnecessary in my eyes. Same thing with lens flare. We've got improved facial lighting geometry because I love the way that NPC faces animate, the way everything looks. It's fantastic. And I'm running a mix of medium and high settings for myself here. But I am running with ray tracing on, including ray traced reflections, not shadows. Don't really care about the shadows. The actual pre-rendered shadows are pretty good. And medium ray trace lighting. I'm running with DLSS on performance mode, so you will notice some DLSS stuff happening. Doesn't bother me, and I like the frame rate. So we're actually doing a few things to help out our frame rate here, but we're also recording in 1080 at 60 frames per second in OBS. Let's see how it runs. Okay, I haven't even moved yet. Things are looking beautiful, but we're already at up to 98% GPU usage. Now, is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily. Most AAA titles will do this. It'll basically reserve 100% of your GPU. Now, if we look at our frame rate there in white on the top left, I'm running at an average of 103 FPS. That's not bad. actually. But the problem is not the gameplay I'm talking about here. My main issue would be that if I were currently trying to stream along with recording and playing the game, my stream would be the first thing to suffer, even though I'm running Streamlabs OBS in administrator mode. I'm not sure if my video is going to be affected by this, the actual recording that I'm doing. I'll have to see when I'm editing this. Now, I would hope that the RTX 3070 can handle recording and playing the game. That's something that Let's Players would do. And with this, you should be fine. But if you want to stream this, you're basically doubling the work of your NVENC encoder between rendering a recording and rendering for streaming. So these numbers aren't bad. Let's be clear about that. Plus, my CPU is only running at about 38%, 37%. And keep in mind, though, that I am using a 3900X processor, which has a lot of cores and a lot of threads, and it is designed for doing stuff like this. Not necessarily the gameplay itself, but I am running at 4150 megahertz, which is decent. So let's get out of this and let's try it on the Shadow PC. Okay, so opening Shadow is easy. You just open the application. It's basically a remote access application. And then basically what it's gonna do is initialize your PC. It's like pressing the power button essentially. And then you just wait for it to start up. You can hit start now, but you're just gonna see a loading screen, just like a computer starting up. Now, I'm hoping that my local Riva Tuner statistics server will run over the Shadow PC interface here. RTSS is basically how I'm getting those numbers up on the screen, and it comes packaged along with MSI Afterburner, which is what I use for tuning my GPU, and there it is. So let's hide that for now. And I'm gonna take you on a little tour of what my Shadow PC looks like. This looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? Well, it's got my same desktop background. I installed Steam and installed all my games on here that I wanted. I couldn't install every game because, again, I'm at about 500 gigs of storage, and I can quadruple that if I wanted to pay the money for it, but it's not a need, so I don't do it. Let's look at the quick menu. Looking at the quick menu, you've got streaming settings. You can adapt your max bitrate for network conditions. Now, I am personally running a gigabit internet connection at home, 1000 megabits per second down, 50 megabits per second upload. It's great. It's really amazing. It's a fantastic internet connection, but you can lower this all the way down to 1 if you wanted to, but 15 is what they recommend as a minimum. So we're gonna keep that at 70 because that's what I use. If you, for some reason, have a data cap on your home internet, this will tell you right here, data consumption up to 28 gigabytes per hour. That's a lot. You'll also have this thing here on the right showing your usage statistics, okay, your latency, your bandwidth, frame rate, and your connection drops or packet loss. Now, you can improve your video quality when streaming at a lower internet connection with the high efficiency video coding. And you can disable network condition notifications when your network connection is having any issues, but I don't recommend that. You should know when that's happening. You have controllers you can connect. And this is my SteelSeries Stratus Duo that I use all the time. Love this thing. I don't really use the Bluetooth functionality though, but see, I'm gonna connect that, and there it is. Just like that, comes up as an X input controller. You can use, I believe you can use a PlayStation controller, definitely use an Xbox controller on here, and Logitech controllers as well. Basically, anything that can use X input, you're good. Now, as for the microphones, this is showing all of the microphones that I have available on my computer, and I can activate any one of these that I want to use with, say you're doing in-game chat and you want to run that on your Shadow PC, bam, there you go. This is supposed to be able to work with almost any USB peripheral. So we click that, and these are all the peripherals that are available. So I can actually use my PreSonus AudioBox USB audio interface, so I can hook up my MIDI keyboard to this for producing music. I don't need to do that, but I could. My AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus that I'm using to capture this, I could use to capture to the Shadow PC. I could use the Shadow PC for streaming if I wanted to. I don't want to do that because as far as I know, they don't allow for dual displays. If I'm going to stream, I'd like to stream where I have my game on one side and my stream on the other, so I can monitor my stream, see my chat, all that kind of stuff. But you could do it if you needed to. My Wave 3 and my old webcam that I have connected for my little shots that I do here and then. Sometimes I add them to my starting soon screen or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of great options in here, and they're adding more all the time. Now, you can exit full screen to just stop showing your shadow display. to just put it in windowed mode, so it's easier to get to like your actual start menu and taskbar for your local computer. But if you want to go back to full screen, you just hit that. You can unlock the cursor. I just use the hotkeys for this, which is Windows key, Alt M, and I do this a lot. That way I can, oh, that's locked right now. I unlock it a lot so that I can go over to my OBS and change things, do things, change a song on Spotify, whatever. That would be made a lot easier if I just got myself like a Stream Deck or something, or just took the time to set up some hotkeys. That would be a lot easier if I just got a Stream Deck or took the time to set up some hotkeys. That's the end of that sentence. There's no buts to it. I just need to do it. Anyway, now if you want to, you can just close off from streaming. You can just close it up. That doesn't shut off the computer. I can just go right back in and start it back up. And in a few seconds, we'll be back in. It'll keep your Shadow PC running for up to 30 minutes. If you need to do other stuff on your computer and you just want to stop the bandwidth for the actual stream. I'm going to bring up my actual performance monitor here. Okay. And we're actually using, let's see how much we're using here. That's a GPU Ethernet. There we go. So we spiked there to 28 megabits per second, but I'm using 6.6 megabits per second right now, and I'm connected to a gaming PC that is hours away from me. A whole day's drive away from me almost. Well, about 7 or 8 hours. It's fantastic. They've optimized this very well. Now, as for gaming, how does it feel? How does it feel to game on a PC that's so far away? Amazing. The latency is there, but it's nearly imperceptible. I would take out the nearly and just say it's imperceptible. I use this for streaming all the time. I don't notice it, and my viewers don't notice it. Except for the fact that I talk about it all the time. Which is why some of them, I feel like it's okay if you don't watch this video, guys. You've already heard everything there is to know about Shadow. But as you see here, we have our whole start menu. We have all our apps in here. It is like it's not like a full computer. It's a full Windows computer at your disposal. And guess what? If it breaks, you don't have to fix it. If there's a problem, they have to fix it. And they have so many systems in place for fixing these things on the fly, backups, everything. Okay, so let's just take a quick look and let's see right now what we're getting just by running this and by recording, okay? Our GPU usage while recording is at 45%, give or take 1 or 2%. Let's see if that changes when I start playing video games. Also, very importantly, we're only using 13% of our CPU right now. Now, during this, the Shadow PC may be sending more frames per second because it knows you're in a game. But let's see how much GPU usage we're getting up to here. Remember how my GPU usage was at like 99% off the bat without me even moving around? Look at this. 49% GPU usage. Unbelievable. I'm using 8 gigs of RAM out of my 32. My CPU usage is around 15% constantly. And guess what? Game's running great. Recording's looking good. That means I have 50% of my GPU in reserve for encoding a stream. For anything I want to run on my local computer. For running multiple camera angles, if that's what you're into, for your OBS. For running graphics on your OBS. Because guess what? The more fancy you make your stream overlays and transitions and animations, the more graphic processing and CPU it's going to need. Let's try one out. All right, I'm gonna switch over here. Just unlock my cursor to go over here. Let's just transition back to the chat screen real quick. And we will transition back. And it didn't change. There's so much overhead left over. There's so much room left over on both the CPU and the GPU that it didn't even make a dent when I ran that animation. It is fantastic. Now, you're gonna want to get used to locking and unlocking your cursor, just because you're gonna want to go back and forth between the two. And yes, this will be a lot more complicated if you're only using one monitor. Now, I understand you can't just, oh, Braythorn said that I should just have dual monitors for reasons and just get one, make it manifest, right? You can't actually do that. But I will tell you this. For a secondary monitor for just running your stream, you do not need to get yourself a $400 gaming monitor. You just find yourself a used one for 60 bucks, 50 bucks. Have your secondary monitor. Now, if your computer cannot run a secondary monitor, you will be switching back and forth to view your stream settings in OBS. Yeah, you could always have your chat open on your phone, do stuff like that. But the goal should be, and it always should be, I always recommend multiple monitors, just at least 2, just for managing your stream, playing your games, stuff like that. Honestly, if you're streaming on a single monitor, hats off to you. I'm not wearing a hat, but if I did have one on, I would take it off to you, because that takes a level of multitasking that I just haven't got in me. So I do highly suggest using this, because when you have a secondary PC for running your stream, you have to start thinking about things like getting a capture card, and a really good one, your audio setup between the two, getting an audio interface, getting everything balanced out. And if one of the 2 computers has a problem, your whole stream stops working. And guess what? 2 computers means twice the chance that there's going to be an issue at some point. I wouldn't turn down having a second computer for streaming, but I really don't need one, not with Shadow PC. Now, does this cost you money every month? Yeah, it does. For anyone who pays for streaming services, you know how easy it is to get to where you have 2 at first. Oh man, but now I need to get like Funimation, or I need Crunchyroll, or I need to get, oh man, this show is only on Hulu. I need to get that so I can watch this show. And then you finish watching that show and you never turn off your Hulu. And then it starts to stack up so quickly that if you go look at what you're paying for right now for your streaming services and get rid of one of those, it could pay for this whole thing, a whole gaming computer for you. And then maybe by then it'll be cheaper to afford components to build a new computer. You might just find, though, that you don't want to. There are so many benefits to Shadow PC, I sometimes don't even know where to start. Shadow, if you see this, the guys over there, thank you for doing this, for having this idea, because this saved my stream. Back in last July or so, I was having a lot of trouble running my stream. I was trying to run everything, the game, OBS, Discord, chatting, the camera, everything on a 5-year-old PC that I just recently replaced. And it wasn't working. I didn't want to give up. I couldn't give up. I had been dreaming of doing things like this for a very long time. I wasn't ready to give up. And then Linus Tech Tips put up a video talking about Shadow PC, opening up a Shadow Blade server and seeing what's inside. And then I watched their first Shadow PC video and I was like, oh my God, you can do that? I'm actually going to link to the Linus Tech Tips video that first introduced me to Shadow below in the description, so you can check that out. I love the channel anyway, so you should always check out Linus Tech Tips because they've got great content every single day. That's why they have a whole team doing it. There can be a bit of a waiting list to get a Shadow PC. Get on it. Get on that waiting list as soon as you can, because usually a spot opens up. My spot opened up in like 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. But there's a high demand for this, and they're building out even more. Find out if it's available where you are, and if it's not, tell Shadow, hey, come out here. My friends, my community, we would like this. Couldn't hurt. It obviously isn't easy to open an entire, server farm in a remote location, but I don't really live near a major city, but I got it and it's running amazingly. So despite the clickbaity title of this video, I really want to make this a sincere thank you to Shadow PC. You allowed me to continue pursuing my creative dream and gave me the confidence to up the quality level of what I was producing, and I cannot thank you enough. It's not easy to just up and buy something that is as large of an investment as a gaming level computer. And building one right now is impossible. You're allowing people to experience these things, experience games, experience broadcasting their personalities across the internet and sharing their experiences with the world for $13 a month. The value proposition is unquantifiable. So to you, I say, Shadow, Thank you. I mean that. You don't have to sponsor me or anything. I mean, you can. You send me money if you want to. I won't turn it down. But this is unsponsored. This is not a paid promotion. This is just one person who you helped who wants to spread the word a little bit. What I would like you to do, not you, Shadow. You guys are great, but I'm talking to the viewer now, other viewers. What I would like for you to do is to go over to shadow.tech, see if it's available where you are, and get on the waiting list. If you want to save $5 off your first month, just put in a referral code, and that referral code would be EMMASU8C. Echo, Mike, Alpha, Sierra, Utah, 8, Charlie, if you want those codes. I'll put it in the description below as well, and a link to shadow.tech as well, because I truly believe in what they're doing, and I think that you will love it too if you're gaming on anything that's like 2 years or older, or 3 years or older, or if you're gaming on a PC that is not super top of the line and you want to stream. This is the one weird trick that can help you pursue your dreams. If you want to see me pursue my dreams, come hang out with me on stream. Twitch.tv/Brayathorn every Sunday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Central. And if you thought this video was helpful, or I don't know, you like my face, some people do, I guess, hit like. If you feel like watching more, hit subscribe, and also the notification bell, because then it'll be like, hey, Brayathorn just posted a video, go check it out. So I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, take care.